Nos estamos regresando como al trabajo de un ayer. Los abuelitos empezaron a hacer las chinampas, ¿no? Utilizaban materia orgánica, abonos naturales.
The biggest takeaway for me from the piece was how knowledgeable these farmers are, and they speak a bit about the ignorance of the trade, meaning how so many people can kind of write this job off as something frivolous or something you do when you can't do anything else. And all of the work that they've put into sustaining this land, even with issues with government oversight and pollution and water, which we know was a big issue in general for them, still being able to sustain such great quality products, and to keep the upkeep of the land itself is a testament to their intelligence and their fortitude and their strength. So being a farmer is nothing to huff at. I believed that before this, and this just honestly reinforced it for me. And it's sad to think that there's so many people out there who are ignorant of this trade, and that there would be a risk of it kind of falling out of popularity, let's say, simply due to that ignorance. This is a really beautiful piece that gives us an in-depth look into this paradise, but how difficult it can be to sustain paradise.
The future. I thought this was really, really, really interesting and fascinating to learn about, but also to see the passion and love that this group of people have for this land, but also for the memories and the culture associated with it. They were talking about their grandparents and their parents and how the land has changed and what it used to be versus what it is now, and how committed they are to protecting it and trying to preserve it, not just because it's where they live, but because they're a part of that history. They are a living part of that history. And I think that it was just really beautiful to learn about it, not from the perspective of like preserving wetlands for the sake of preserving a natural, beautiful piece of the country, but preserving it for the sake of the community, the actual people that live there, and how it's not just crucial to preserve the ecosystem, but how that village works with the larger country, and how they weren't getting support from their government, and how even though they have all of these things that are like recognized, how that's not necessarily reflected back into the actual community. I thought was fascinating to learn about, and just what this group of people have done when they weren't getting the support from the government, and what they have figured out. Well, if we can't do this, if we're not getting support this way, what can we control? What can we do? What can we try to figure out apart from that to make our community better, to make the lands better, to make, a bigger, better, higher impact. And I think that it was so interesting to learn about, and I loved the perspective from the people themselves, not from, necessarily from like a like ecological standpoint, but just from the people that like actually are a part of that place. I thought was really great.
Future of Chinampas. This documentary painted a really strong case for the need to preserve these floating gardens built by the Aztecs, and also gave a very nuanced and immersive contribution to what these threats are and why this is happening, as well as what are the future steps forward, which is the most important thing. It showed us the beauty and the vitality and the necessity of this area and this ecological wonder. But then we got to see the why laid out very clearly and from a great array of sources and perspectives, which I very much appreciated, that it didn't seem delved down, that they really went into the nuance of it. And then most importantly, what is that call to action? What do we do with this information? And I thought, yeah, the impact to daily life, from sustainability to the future regenerative agriculture, there really was a perspective from all sides, and it gave a very fully rounded documentary. And I'm very impressed by the compilation of it, the pacing throughout, and the cinematography really did capture both the beauty and then the horror of it no longer being what it once was.